Assalamu alaikum. Rabbi Shali Sadri Vayasali Amri Walul Uqdata Milisani Qawqali Rabbi Zidni Ilma. Okay, children, hope that you all are well. Today I am going to help you in preparing for your paper 2, which is a major concern for many students. After today's discussion, I hope that you will be quite confident with how to attempt the paper. Very first thing is, it's basically paper 2, which is algorithm, programming and logic. And the paper that I'm discussing at the moment is a specimen paper that is for both 2210 O levels as well as IGCSE 0478. Before we proceed to the specimen paper discussion, let me talk about a few things that we all need to know. We have to attempt all the questions. You can use either a black or a dark blue pen. In case you have to draw the diagrams, then you can use a pencil, and that is an HB pencil. You have to write down your details, like your name, center number, and candidate number in all the material provided to you. You have to answer in the space provided, and you are not supposed to use the correction fluid at all. Do not use the barcodes for writing purpose. And very important thing that you need to know is you are not supposed to carry a calculator because that is not allowed. Paper is of 75 marks, and the marks for each part or each question are given in the brackets. Again, one more important thing is you will not be awarded any mark if you are using the brand name for software packages or hardware. So be very cautious. You don't have to write anything as such. Now, the very first question that I'm doing, I hope that this is very simple and we all know the answer for this question. 4 descriptions and 5 pseudocode statements are shown. You have to draw a line each pseudocode to describe each pseudocode to the each pseudocode statement to the most appropriate description. I'm starting with the very first one, a loop that will always iterate at least once. So remember, we have been doing this thing quite often, that a loop that is always iterating at least once is a repeat until. No, none other but repeat until. I hope that you all have recalled this material. A conditional statement to deal with many possible outcomes, many possible conditional statement. The word that should strike your mind is case of, otherwise, and case. Now, this is how you will actually filter out. When the word conditional statement is used, then you can recall it's either if, then, else, and if, or case of, otherwise, and case. And for two, you can say a conditional statement with different outcomes for true and false. Then it is if, then, else. And if it's a conditional statement to deal with many possible outcomes, you will mention the case of, otherwise, and case. A loop that will always iterate at a set number of times. A set number of times is your for to next. So I hope that you can score within 2 minutes 4 marks. And please, one more caution is, when you are given a paper, please start attempting from the beginning. Do not move on to the last page, which is the you can say scenario-based question. In the beginning, just say Bismillahirrahmanirrahim and start attempting the paper, and inshallah that will help you a lot in gaining 60 marks or maybe good marks in your paper, which is of 75 marks duration. Second part, or B part, is using a single loop, write an algorithm in pseudocode to output 50 names that have been stored in the array name. I can see it's simply you need to output the array. The name of the array is name, and you can see for yourself that it is done in 2 ways. First is the use of while, and remember, whenever you have to use an array, you have to use any of the loop structures, which are repeat until, while do, and while, or for to next. Since I know the number of iterations are 50, so that is why you can see we have done it with while. Count equals to 0, while count is less than 50, do output name of count equals to count plus 1, and end while. And this is what is going to be done perfectly okay with while, but I recommend, and this is what again is recommended, that you better use the loop for, and you can use in this manner that you can say for count equals to 1 to 50 or for count equals to 0 to 49, output name of count and the next count. So that will, these 3 lines are going to give you exactly the same outcome as are done by this one. Like there's no difference between the two. You can use either the while loop or you can use the for loop. But my recommendation is, whenever you are aware of the set number of times, always prefer using for loop. You can easily score 3 marks in this manner. I hope that is again not a problem. Question number 2. Describe the purpose of validation and verification checks during the data entry. Include an example for each. Now, if you remember validation checks you have done, why do we use validation checks? And simple, to test if the data entered is possible, reasonable, or sensible. You can use any of the keywords and you can see to test if the data is possible, to test if the data is entered is reasonable, to test if the data entered is sensible. You can use any, and if you recall the validation checks that we have learned, correctly said, presence check, range check, limit check, you can say format check, length, a lot you have learned. So you just be clear that since they're asking for the example, so you need to actually describe the example also, that if you say the range check is going to test that data entered is within specified range, which is the upper limit and the lower limit. So that will actually give you 2 marks, because 1 mark is for the description of the validation, of the term validation, and second mark will be for explanation of the check that you have chosen. And remember that it is including any one example, which can be either range check, or you can say type check, or you can say length check, or any check that you have chosen. You will write down something about that, and that will give you 2 out of 2 very easily. Now moving to the second part deals with the verification. As you can recall, verification means to test if the data input is the same as the data that was intended to be input. Whatever was required to be input, is it the same or not? And for that, you remember very well that there are 2 checks that we have learned, verification checks. The first one is double entry, and second one is going to be your visual check. So if a student has written double entry, that's perfectly okay. He will score marks for that if he has described it properly. And second student wrote about visual check, that will also be considered as the correct answer, because this is also validation check. So they both will score marks because they both have taken the right answer. They both have taken verification checks as double entry or screen or visual check. Now, double entry, it is going to ask the person to enter the same data twice, and it will compare both the data to ensure that they are same or not. Excuse me. As you can see in the case of password entry. So in password entry, it's double entry because the person is asked to enter the same password entry twice, especially when you are creating an account or when you are giving the password to a file, then also you are asked to re-enter the data, and that is verification. That is for verification purpose. Another student wrote about visual checks. If you can recall, visual check is, for example, from the source document, you're going to get the data on typed, and you will compare that both the source document and whatever is on the screen is same or not. If it's not same, then definitely it has not undergone the verification check appropriately. I hope that till now there's no problem. You can easily score till now 4 marks in this question, 3 marks in this question, and 4 marks in this question. So out of 75 marks, you have actually scored very easily 4 plus 4 plus 3 marks. See, so simple. Just be confident. Now, question number 3. Tick one box to show the named section of a program that performs a specific task. Now, that is a function, basically. Procedures and functions are very important and easy topic, not a difficult one that we have covered, is dealing with the same concept. Now, another question, again, hardly a minute, and you will be able to score 1 mark from here. A satellite navigation system is an example of a computer system that is made up of subsystems. Part of a sat-nav system is given below. Now, this is asking you to draw a structure diagram for this part. Just for the purpose of making you comprehend, what I have done is I have actually highlighted, and what I suggest in the paper, you keep pencil in your hand and underline the keywords so that you are never going to make a mistake here. Allows the user to enter details for a new destination or select a previously saved destination. So if you pay attention to the keywords, and remember the subsystem that we are talking about, it has to have something in the beginning as the main, and the main, or we can say the first level, and then you are going to think about that what are the 2 or 3 subparts. So since there are two bullets, it means that first bullet is dealing with the entry of details, which is the input stage, and second bullet is dealing with the displaying of the direction, that is the output stage. So just be attentive. You can go through the question and you will be very easily able to understand that what will be coming, how many you can say sub-branches, how many structures, sub-branches will be there in your question. In this case, there is, you can see it very easily. Input is on one side and output will be on the other side. And in input, you can again see that input is again divided into two parts. The first one is the new destination, or you can say we're going to select a previously saved destination. That is what is happening actually also. Either you are going to a new place or you are going to a previously saved place. Maybe you have been to different places regularly. So that will be your previously saved destination. Or you are moving to a new place, that will be your new destination. Now that is what very simple it is. Now moving on to the second part or second side, that is your output. Here you are going to output directions in the form of a map or as a list. So from here, I derived that output is divided again into two subparts or subsystems. The first one is a map and second one is a list. After I'm done with finding out from here, what I'm doing is I'm drawing the structure diagram. So simple. Very first level is your sat-nav system, which I have written in the beginning at the top. You have drawn a line and now you are going to show the hierarchical structure on the left-hand side. And please remember, inputs are always coming first and output are always coming next. And if you have any processing, then you will show it in between input and output. Although in this case, there's no processing, that's why you're not going to involve this, but it's very simple. You will have input on one side, and this input is further bifurcated into new destination and previously saved destination. And from here, output, you're going to talk about map or list. See, so simple it is. And within again 2 minutes, if you have learned the technique, then you can easily score 4 marks from here, because the structure diagram is just placement of the right options in the right positions. So if you have drawn the structure properly, you have written the values in the right position, then you can easily score 1 mark for the structure, 1 mark for the values here, 1 mark for the values here, and 1 more marks for this one. So in this manner, you can easily score the marks 1, 2, 3, and then 4. And definitely the hierarchical structure is also very important. See, so easy. Now, question number 5, again, a suggestion that if you really know, be very cautious again. Read the question thoroughly for the error checking question or debugging questions. Very simple. An algorithm has been written in pseudocode to input some numbers. The number of values entered is not known to you. It only outputs any number that are greater than or equal to 100. Greater than or equal to 100. The number 999 is not output and stops the algorithm. Now this 999 is working as, if you remember a term that we have learned, rogue value. So it means that it will terminate my program, it will terminate my loop, it will stop the algorithm. Now I'll just go stage-wise and I'll find out stage-wise input number, while numbers not equal to 999 do. If number greater than 100, then output number, end if, and while output number. Now this is my whole algorithm. If I'm asked to identify 4 errors in the pseudocode and suggest corrections, what I'm doing is I'm going stage-wise. Input number, numbers, number. It means input number line is correct. Line number 2, while numbers is not equal to 999 do. So you can see here, the number should be used here, which is not being used. So I identified the first error as line number 2, and then I wrote as error 1, while numbers not equal to 999 do is the error. And then in correction area, I wrote while number is not equal to 999 do. And be very cautious, the errors could be in any form, and you need to figure it out, and you need to write it down. Moving to the next thing, if number is greater than 100. Again, if you had read it correctly, then it said numbers are greater than or equal to 100. So it means again error is here. So you wrote if number greater than 100, and you wrote if number is greater than or equal to 100. This has identified your second error. The third error, Again, if you remember, we have been talking about this while loop. We said that while loop is going to need input twice. First is going to be before the while loop is starting, and second one is before the end while. It means that the one input is missing from here, and that input will be entered after the end of statement, or you can see in other words before the end while statement. So that is the third error, that input number is missing, and that will be inserted after end if. The fourth error, the final output number is not needed, but that you can see for yourself that it is not written anywhere in the algorithm that you need to go for the output of anything. So that is the fourth error, and you are going to simply remove that line. And simply with this method, you can score 4 marks if you have identified the errors correctly and you have mentioned the corrections here. Again, so simple. Now, after that, there's another part. Write a pseudocode statement to change the corrected algorithm to output all numbers between 100 and 200 inclusive. Now, this is a between situation. If you remember, we have been talking about this one. You don't this thing one quite often in different pseudocode statements. So what will you do here is they have given you an instruction. You do not need to rewrite the whole algorithm. So be very cautious. If they have written write, fine, then you will write. But if they have said that there is no need to write, then don't waste your time at all, thinking that the examiner will be impressed by you. Please be cautious. Whatever is not needed, you don't have to follow it. And they simply want you to write down the statement that will make you input the values. Here it is asking for greater than or equal to 100 any value. But now they have given you a range. That is, the range check is being applied. And how will you do it? If you remember, we have been doing it quite often. If number greater than or equal to 100 and number less than or equal to 200. Now, this is going to help in making my range check. A between situation, you can say, or you can say a range check, anything that strikes your mind. But remember, it says 100 and 200 inclusive. And that is why you have to mention greater than or equal to 100 and number less than or equal to 200. Please again be cautious. Normally students, what did they do is they do not mention the variable in the second condition. So whenever you're talking about this situation, you have to write down the variable again. You will not say if number greater than or equals to 100 and less than or equal to 200. No, that will be treated as a wrong option and you will not be able to score 2 because there are marks for writing down the correct condition. And then there's 1 mark for the and, because the students may make a mistake and they can use an or here also. That is why be cautious. For between thing, we use the term and. Clear? We have been doing this activity quite often during the class, during the sessions. So I hope that you know how to attempt this sort of question. Now, question number 6. Consider the logic expression x equals to a and b or b and not c. First thing is you have to write down you have to make a logic circuit, and after that you have to draw the truth table, complete the truth table. So see, first what we will be doing is we are going to observe from here or is the last operation, and there are 4 marks. It means that there's division for each and every stage, a and b. So it means that the first part is a and b. The and operation is being performed with ab, and the outcome of this is going to this OR gate. Then you can see B and not C. So the signal is coming from B, going to the AND gate. And from here, C signal, there's NOTing symbol first. We have the NOT gate first, and the outcome is going to the AND gate. And the result is going to the OR gate. So you can see this is the logic circuit of the expression that is given to us, and it's so simple. If you have drawn the circuit properly with confidence, with I can say with a little bit of the attention, then you can very easily get the truth table. Definitely you have to use intermediate values. And here I can suggest you that you can use pencil so that if you have made a mistake, you can make the correction. And once you're confident about your intermediate values, then write down the final answer. And for that, you can refer to the video also that is dealing with learning how to work on the circuits under the Boolean algebra topics. So you can refer to that video also. That will give you an idea. But if you have drawn the circuit properly, then the final outcome will be 0, 0, 0 will be a 0, 0, 0, 1 will be a 0, 0, 1, 0 will be a 1, 011 will be a 0, 100 will be a 0, 101 will be a 0, 110 will be a 1, and 111 will be a 1. By the way, let me give you a very simple tip. Just to, you can definitely use the intermediate values, but remember, I said A and B or B and not C. It means from here, what I'm deriving is the result X will be a 1 in situation number 1 when A and B means A is 1 and B is 1. So looking here, I found that there are two values where A is 1 and B is 1. A is 1 and B is 1. It means that they both are 1s. No other place has A and B both as 1. So that is why I had confirmed that my answer is correct. That A is 1, B is 1, A is 1, and B is 1. Got it? Or situation 2 is B and C is 0. Means now I look for all those locations where B is 1 and C is 0. So you can see B is 1, C is 0, B is 1, C is 0, B is 1, C is 0. There's only this situation, and that is also resulting in a 1 here. It means that you can verify your answer yourself that this is correct. You have found it correctly, and definitely you have to show the intermediate values. Please be clear that you have to, but like you'll always be doing the intermediate values. Working space is given to you for the same purpose. Okay, because the examiners are definitely going to see how you have done the working space. Maybe if you have made a mistake in the final answer and your space is accurately handled, then they may give you marks for that. That is why suggested thing is always utilize the working space area. This is what I'm giving you as a tip, just to ensure that your answer is correct. But I hope that you remember that whatever we have learned, we have to follow the same principle. Okay, no questions? Till now, are we all confident? Are we all able to score the marks so easily? Yes? Okay. The next question is actually your flowchart. But let me tell you that we already have, whenever we are going to work on arrays thing, we already have covered in this. So I suggest you that better look at that video that is dealing with this rather than looking at right now, because that will help you a lot in comprehending how this work is being handled. And that will be a very great help for you. Okay. That is again an example of your array thing. What is the purpose of this array question? That's simply bubble sort that we already have covered, or I can say arranging your data in ascending order or descending in ascending order. You can say A to Z, lowest to highest, or alphabetical order. They all are right answers because you need to answer regarding the description of what the algorithm or the flowchart, or what the algorithm means your pseudocode or if your flowchart is doing. Question number 8. It deals with a very simple topic that we already have covered, and that deals with your test data. You can see a programmer has written an algorithm to check that prices are less than $10.00. Be clear, less than 10.00. You are given some test data, and you can see 10.00, 9.99, 10. And since you can see 10.00 is outside the range, you can see less than 10. And again, one important thing that you need to see is $sign or any unit is just for humans. Never ever include this as a part of your data. Remember this. You can see for yourself, they have not mentioned dollar anywhere. Because dollar or kilometers or kilograms or any other value is always for the human interpretation. It has nothing to do with data. Data simply means the data that we enter in the computer. And I can see 10.00, a student wrote boundary, that's excellent. But if a student wrote abnormal, that will also be considered as one of the right answers because 10.00 is outside the range. But if a student wrote normal, that will be a wrong answer. Or if a student wrote extreme, that will also be a wrong answer because in reality, this is not the right answer. Please be cautious that a student, if you're writing this 10.0 as boundary, excellent. It means that you have clear idea about the boundary data. It means that one is closer, if you remember, extreme, one above than extreme, and one below than extreme is your boundary data. That's excellent. So now you can see the reason is the price should be rejected because the value is outside the range. 9.99, excellent. If you write down it is the extreme data, that's excellent. But a student can also write down normal data. So the examiner will accept that as the right answer, because definitely extreme data is within the range. It will be considered as an option that should be accepted. And that is why if a student wrote normal, we may accept that to be a right answer as well, because he has a clear idea. He knows what it means. But YTEN definitely is abnormal. Why abnormal? Who can answer? Anyone who can say why is it treated as abnormal? Yes, that's great. It is the wrong data type, because TEN should not be accepted by the program. By the way, what is the data type? Looking at this, price, what do you think? Looking at this data, what do you think should be the data type for price? String, char, integer, real, boolean. These are the 5 data types that we have learned. So in this category, which category does it fall in? It will be real. That's great. Now, it means that you have scored so many, like you have scored so many marks so easily. Explain why a program might need to store data in a file. Why is storage necessary? Answers, a 3-mark question means that you can write down any of the 3 valid points. Data, and why do we save the file? I mean, this is what we all know. You save your files, I save my files. Whenever I'm working, I need to store the files. So what is the reason? Data is not lost when the computer is switched off. Most important thing is I want to keep my data safe. Data can be used by more than one program or reused when a program is run again. Data can be backed up or archived. They can be transported from one place or system to another. When we actually store the files for multiple reasons, one is my own saving. I don't want to lose my data, so I'll be saving it once the computer is switched off. Or it can be used by more than one program. Then I'll be also going for a storage of my file. Or if the data can be backed up or archived for the future use, I'm going to again save my data. Or it can be transported. I want to share it with someone else. Then also I'll be needing to store the data. Clear? Okay, that's wonderful. A function is declared using pseudocode. Now this is the function. Function converts to CM, inches real, returns real. Return inches into 2.4. End function. Now this is basically your whole thing, and you are asked to tick one box that is the right option, which accurately describes the use of the variable inches. So inches is basically a parameter. As we all have studied, function name is convert to CM. It is getting one parameter, that is inches. Its data type is real, and it's returning the real value. So here, the inches is basically working as your parameter. Okay. Now, the 11th question is dealing with a database, a very simple and interesting topic. A database table is given to you. It's used to keep a record of the movie details. So you can see a list of different movies are mentioned, and you can see these are your fields. Catano, title, genre 1, genre 2, Blu-ray, DVD, streaming. And then you have a number of records. How many records are here? If you just count, if I ask you to count the number of records that are present, fields are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And the number of records are, can we count together? Will I include this line in my number of records? Yes, Ali, will I include this line in my number of records? Yes or no? Yes, Ahmed, please answer. Okay, fine, that's correct. I'm not going to include this because this is just the heading. So I'll start from here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 records are here. And how many fields are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 fields. I hope that we are clear with that. Now, which field out of these should be taken as the primary key, and why? Very quickly recalling, primary key should be Catano. It's first one, that's why it's the primary key. Is this what you think? If this Catano was written somewhere as the second or the third field, Will you treat this as a primary key or not? Yes, definitely. Remember, do you remember what is the feature of a primary key? Which field do we call as a primary key? The one that stores values that are unique, that are identifying the record. Like you can see for yourself, none of the values in cat-no field are duplicated. None of the fields, none of the values. 18M01, 18M02, 18M03, you can see none of the values repeated. They all are storing unique values. And that is the most important feature of a primary key, that it stores unique values that are there to identify the record. The way we have it for our own ID. Like we do have some identification in school, and that is my identification or my other primary key that is meant to identify me in the school. Okay, now moving to the question, state the number of records in the database. So it is simple. You've just counted it together, that is 20. But if they'd ask me about the number of fields, then also I'll be cautious. Then I'll be mentioning that 1, 2, 3, 4. It's better if you mention it there. And then you write down it as 7. That's perfectly okay. Give the name of the field that it would be used for the primary key. Definitely will write down cat-no and be cautious. You are not going to leave a space in between. You have to write it the way it is present here. You're not going to utilize any other method that it doesn't look nice, or you're going to change it as per your choice. Please, no, a big no. You have to write it the way it is present in the table. So you will write it down cat-no. State the reason for choosing this field for the primary key. So you can see it identifies the record in the database or stores unique values. So it is going to be right answer. 1 mark for this one, 1 mark for this one, and 1 mark for this one. Complete the table to identify the most appropriate data type for each field based on the data shown in the database table. So you can see cat-no is storing the data in this form, and you can mention it as text. Fine, because if you remember, again, be cautious that normally in our database, we handle, it's string value. Yes, correct. I agree with you, Ali. That is string value, but in the questions of database, we talk about it as text value. We don't say it as string. So you can see cat-no is text value, title is text value because it again is composed of letters. Your genre 1 is also a text value because it is dealing with which genres does it belong to. It's an adventure movie, or it's a comedy movie, or action movie. So which genre does it belong to? That is again composed of letters, and that is why it will be a text value as well. And then streaming. And you can see streaming is containing yes or no. And we have learned that yes or no means Boolean value. That is why the most appropriate data type for this one will be your Boolean value. So in this manner, you can mention the data type and you'll be easily able to score the marks mentioned here, which is 2. Easy? Not difficult? That's great. Complete the structured query language, which is SQL, to return the category. Now, to return the category number and title for all comedy movies. This is SQL that you have to write down. And we have already learned this. We are just applying it. Select is the keyword. Select what? Category number. I'll refer to my structure and I'll figure out that cat-no is the field name. So I mentioned cat-no here, comma, and the title is the next field name. So I mentioned title. From was missing from here. So I wrote from which database table it is, 2018 movie. As you can see from there, in the beginning, it was mentioned that 2018 is the database table. So your select statement will be, you have to select what? Select cat-no, comma, title from 2018 move. This is the table name. And for all comedy movies, now my selection is only linked with comedy. So I will mention where genre 1, which is my field name, equals to comedy. And since comedy is a string value, it's a text value, that's why it has to come within quotations. And in this question, the semicolon was there, but be cautious. The select statement is always ended with a semicolon. So if you have written these two correctly, there were 2 blanks in the question, so you will be able to score 2 out of 2 because 1 blank is going to carry 1 mark and you'll be able to score 2 marks very easily. Any questions? Clear? That's great. And the question, the variables X, Y, and Z are used to store data in a program. X stores a string. stores a string. Y stores a position in the string. For example, 2. Now they've given you the hint here. The data is 2. And you should be able to recall the 5 data types that we have talked about. Z stores the number of characters in the string. Number of characters. If you pay attention to the words, they will actually help you out in figuring out that what is the right data type. And I suggest you, if you get such questions, always write down data types on one side. If you get a question that deals with normal, abnormal, extreme, and boundary, write down the test data on one side, please. That will help you out a lot in getting the right answer. You can, if everything is in front of you, you can figure it out yourself that which is the right option. So I hope that these tips will help you a lot in getting the right answers in less time, and that will help you a lot. Now, I was asked to write pseudocode statement to declare the variables. Now, please remember, declare means I have to use the keyword declare to declare the variables X, Y, and Z. Now, see, so simple. X stores string. So I simply wrote declare X : string. Simple. Yes, Ali? Declare Y. Y stores a position in the string, for example, 2. This indicates it's an integer. That's why I wrote declare Y : integer. Z stores the number of characters in the string. Now, this might be confusing for some students. It says Z stores the number of characters in the string. How many characters are there in the string? And how many characters means I'm talking about the integer value. That is why declare Z : integer. And these 3 lines will give you 3 out of 3. Simple. Now, the next part is B part. The function length X finds the length of a string X. Length function we have done, by the way. Just as a can say recalling, we have done 4 string functions: length, upper, lower, and the last one is substring. So the subfunction substring along with length, one more function substring is being used quite often. Function substring X, Y, Z finds a substring of X starting at position Y and Z characters long. It means that, for example, the first character in X is in position number 1. They have given you these hints. Write pseudocode statements to store the string programming is fun in X. Now, the first line is I have to store, or I have to assign the value programming is fun in the variable X. Find the length of the string and output it. Now, first stage is I have to find the length of the string, and second is I have to output. Extract the word fun from the string and output it. Now, I have to do three tasks. The first task is to store the variable, in the variable X, this value programming is fun. So I have written X assignment operator, quotations open, programming is fun. Be cautious, programming is fun is string value. So it has to come within double quotations just to complete the whole process. Second stage is find the length of the string and output it. How many characters are in there in this string value? So if you wrote simply output length X, that's perfectly okay. And that will definitely give you the answer correctly. Or if you have stored it in a variable and then if you have output, that is also correct. But both options are correct. But since they only wanted you to output the length of the string, so that is why if you have used output and then you have used the length function, this length string function, predefined function that we have learned, that will help you a lot in getting the task done. I hope that we are clear with these 2 statements. The last one is extract the word fun from the string and output it. You have to extract. So see, where is fun? It is present on just count. You need to figure out that you need to have three letters. Where is the first letter starting from? P. P is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, space included, 13, 14, 15, space included. Fun is starting from the 16th position. So what is done here is Y equals to 16. So we have taken, because it's written here, defines a substring of X starting at position Y. So Y is going to actually be here, and we have counted right now with you that programming is fun. The letter, the word fun is starting from the 16th position. That is why we stored in the variable Y the value 16. Any questions, Ali, till now? Ahmed, are you clear? Okay, then since fun is composed of 3 letters, that's why Z, that was meant to store how many characters long, was Z equals to 3. X is holding the programming is fun, Y is holding the starting position from where we have to pick up the characters, and 3 is holding, Z is holding how many characters. And then you're going to output substring X comma Y comma Z. So this line will help you in just outputting the value fun from here. So in this manner, you are able to write down, extract the word fun, and you are going to score 6 marks so easily. So in this question, you can see for yourself what we are asked to use is declare, and we have to use the string functions, which we have covered, and I've revised it right now as well. That is length, substring, and other 2 functions are not used here, but they're also supposed to be remembered by us, and that these are output and output with lower, and then you can use the lower or upper functions also. Clear? Okay. Now the 13th question is your scenario-based question. Normally this is the last one. It is mostly composed of 15 marks, so we will discuss it in a separate video. I hope that you are clear with this one. And remember the tips that I have given you. Be confident about your work. And once you are done with your work, then always pray to Allah that He is going to give the best the best to you in each and every regard. Okay, now take very good care of yourselves. Allah Hafiz. Hope so that you have understood everything, and keep watching my video for the next updates. And do not forget to click on the bell icon. Allah Hafiz.